Hello, I'm Linda Seith from The Layered Onion. Thank you for joining us. We will be listening to our amazing creators talk about their art and mental health. 48 million artists all over the world share this lived experience. The Layered Onion was formed to create a supportive community, allowing the creators to focus on their art, bringing their work from the shadows to receive the recognition and opportunities they deserve. Each podcast will feature an artist who talks about their creations and mental wellness. Art is healing. We hope these discussions will inspire you to appreciate the stories behind the creations and, more importantly, inspire your inner creator. Together, we can tackle the stigma surrounding mental health. So, hello, Yusuf. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing swell. How are you, Linda?
I'm great. Maybe you could introduce yourself and tell everyone where you're from and what are your different mediums of art.
Okay, so my name is Yusuf Bin-Rella. I am from Madison, Wisconsin, born and raised, and I co-founded an organization called TradeRoots, TradeRoots Farms, TradeRoots Kitchens, and we basically grow food in the community, also offer workshops and teach classes on introduction to agriculture and urban farming. And then we show people throughout the growing season what we can do with the stuff that we grow, how to cook it into delicious, nutritious meals that not only taste great and are good for your body, but they also look great aesthetically.
Thank you for that. And so I kind of want to turn now to Yusuf the artist.
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity to have some of your culinary art at an event where, I mean, honestly, that was probably some of the best food I've had in so long. So good.
Yes.
And people were
Mhm.
raving, but part of it was beautiful. It was absolutely a delight for the eyes. So you're both a culinary artist, but you also do graphic art. Maybe you could tell me all about the artistry side of you.
Yeah, I've always appreciated art. I haven't always felt that art was art is for everybody, but you feel like some art has an audience, like whether it be a painting or a structure or something like that. And it, definitely will speak um more to those people perhaps. But um so, creating art that speaks to me, or just re-envisioning art, styles of art that I appreciate, but would like to see a little bit more melanin in the artwork. Um, so yeah, I do, for a long time, I was really into like pen and pencil drawing as a kid, and then as I kind of like stopped doing that in my 20s, but um, now I use digital art. I use artificial intelligence or AI art program called Midjourney to do a lot of art or to conceptualize a lot of things. Um, and it's just so I started just playing around with it, and then I was showing off some of my art to my cousin, and he was like, "Yo, dude, if we printed up some magnets, I'd definitely put that on my fridge." I was talking about fridge magnets, making just magnets, but and a lot of people showed interest, so I my cousin, I sent him some designs and he printed them out as stickers and magnets. And I took them around and they've just been really everywhere I go or bring them. Um, there's, I've got like 12 designs or so. There's something in those that there's at least one of those that resonates with somebody. Even though my art is very Afrocentric, um, everywhere I go, I'm able to get magnets on people's fridges. And that's just like, you know, um, so that, like culinarily, I've worked fine dining. I was a sushi chef for a while. Um, and a beautiful plate of food is always, if it's appealing to the eye, it's like your eyes are the gateway to your stomach. And when you see if it looks good, it's gonna most likely taste good. Or at least that's, your senses kind of pick up looks, smells, and then tastes. But so aesthetics have always been, a part of when you're planting a garden, as you said with the string, so you got your straight rows. There's a certain aesthetic that that is appealing and satisfying, right? It kind of gives a little order. And so having aesthetic art is, especially art now with new technologies that really speaks to me, and I'm able to create and to print it out and have it, um, as a physical manifest is really, really empowering. Um, in the past when, I did some like logo and stuff, and I'm really glad I did it, but I hired a company to do logo design and stuff, and now I can design logos um freely and just, be able to kind of evolve my representation of TradeRoots and what we do, and also interact with different communities. Um, and the goal is ultimately to bring, art was never really separated from culture. In Africa, if you look at the clothing, the pang they call it, the dress that traditional West Africans and Beninois and Togolese people wear, is very artistic, very beautiful, very vibrant colors. The food, very beautiful, very vibrant. And then the music, so art, music, food, agriculture are all, they overlap more in some indigenous cultures, I believe. I think in our culture now, it's kind of a little bit separated. And if you want to have that experience of those things tied together, you're going to pay a lot of money for that. But, like how can we make that accessible in a way, and beautiful, experience too, but also keep the community that we want to see present.
So I want to go back a minute to the the presentation and the culinary art. I If you go to fine dining, of course, they present in a very, how does one think about that when you, especially at the event I went to, you were harvesting the day of and figuring out kind of what you were going to do the day of. How do you like aesthetically think about how you're going to place things, how they look, the smells, all that experience? Is it just gut feel? Is it years of experience? Is it, I mean, how did you learn that? I cannot get over it. It was so beautiful.
Well, it's like, like people tell me that my plates are beautiful, but then I also have, I guess it's all perspective. Like there's people that I just like, I'm blown away by their artistry. It's a combination of all those things. Yeah, it's a combination of experience. It's a combination of um intuition and feel, and then like when you do so many plates, you want a certain balance. Um, Odd numbers, work really well for aesthetics and plating, and as they do in art. Um, and uh, so yeah, that comes together, and it's also just being proud of what you do, or being I wouldn't say proud of it. I would say being satisfied that this is something that I would like to eat. This is something that I would like to have placed in front of me and presented to me. And if you're having a conversation or a dialogue with your audience, whether that's, in a museum or a gallery, or if that's in a restaurant, or in a garden, your garden tells, people what you're thinking of in some degree. Like when you look at an Amish garden, you're like, it's weird. Like when you see an Amish garden, and you're like, damn, my rows aren't that straight. Like, even if your rows are very straight, it's like it's not quite, and I don't know what it is, but like you'll be driving around, like if you're driving around some parts of Wisconsin, and then you happen into Amish land, but you didn't see a buggy first, but then you're like, God dang, that's a really beautiful garden. Like, what the hell? Like, who's doing that? And then you see like a buggy, you're like, oh, I know where I am now. But anyways, so that's a conversation, that you're just having. It's a silent conversation, but from, viewing, and so when people taste your food, you know, as a chef, you definitely want to have a conversation with them that you put time, care, and love into the food. And and they can taste the difference, people can taste that. So that's the diet, like I feed thousands of people each day in my job at the university, but the dialogue that we want to carry on is that they're having a good, nutritious, delicious experience. And that, it's all part of the artistry of that is yeah, there is something to it. Some not I think like if people pursue things, they can achieve what they're trying to accomplish, but um not everybody does.
So, what
So
drew you to being a chef?
I've always loved food and cooking. I used to cook with my grandmother and my mom in the kitchen, and I was patient enough to like finish tasks, whether it be peeling something or, just mixing something. But then I would get like little treats, like the first taste out of the kitchen. So that was always a big draw. Um, and yeah, ever since I started working in restaurants when I was 15, started working at a place called Ella's Deli.
Yeah.
It was a delicatessen on the
Mhm.
east side there. They had a big carousel, but a really extensive menu. And a lot of like most of that stuff was done in-house. Like we pattied our own burgers. Um, the ice cream was made in-house, with the exception of the strawberry ice cream. They farmed that out, but we made the chocolate and the vanilla ice cream. Um, so that was just a great, introduction to culinary. And, as I grew older, I went to the University of Wisconsin for a little bit and decided, you know, academia wasn't for me at that point. Like I just wanted to work and be in kitchens. So I worked my way up, what's known as the brigade system. I worked at places like Madison Club, New Orleans Takeout, um, and Luther's Blues and stuff like that, and started learning my craft. And then yeah, it's just been a good career. So I've been working with the university in different aspects for 22 years. So most of my life has been pretty much in food service.
Well, the thing that I have discovered is the intersection, obviously, with mental health and food service, and the stressors of really food service, and talking to people, how much mental health is a big part of what goes on in food service. Maybe you could talk a bit about your experience with that.
Yeah, as a lot of people may or may not know, food service, and agriculture work have some of the highest rates of drug abuse, alcoholism. Um, Also, the life expectancy for some of those fields are not as long as others. And there's a lot of stressors that come with always pleasing people or meeting sometimes demands that are most demands are reasonable, but some demands aren't, can you get caught in um some spaces where you have to really temper a lot of influence. So for instance, if you have employees that are, you gotta, as a business owner, as a chef, you have to know your team and like how do we successfully through any adversity get to, another satisfied customer. And it's the satisfaction field. Um, our job is to basically satisfy people, and it's food service. So yeah, the mental health stressors, stress mitigation is a huge thing. Um, and I find that farming is, like my answer, and working in my gardens is my answer to some of my stress mitigation. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's only starting to be addressed. Like Dane County Food Council is addressing mental health and food service, and they do workouts and stuff like that to get people physically fit. Um, I work with um, uh, James Bester, and that he's with the University of Wisconsin Alzheimer's Research Group, and we have a men's group once a month, and that men's group is focused on mental health um, as people age, or if they're predisposed to Alzheimer's, if they have heredity of Alzheimer's in their family. Um, Staying mentally healthy, just beyond, pure sanity, but just staying cognitive and um, keeping your brain active. That's a really, really important thing. Um, and especially in the Black community where we have a lot of stressors that not everybody experiences. We have a lot of anxiety, we have a lot of depression, we have a lot of there's a lot of things that affect our community. We have generational trauma that you might not see on the surface, but they do affect your ability to lead a happy and productive life. Um, and so, interestingly, not so interesting, really. So, as you well know, art is a wonderful um, tool for mental health. And so we're working on I pretty much have the framework outlined, but working with some of these older gentlemen, most of the gentlemen in this group are elders. Some are, you know, I don't want to talk about the medical conditions of anybody, but some people definitely need to keep their brain as healthy as they can for as long as they can and to keep it stimulated. So using AI, um, we are we are able to address some issues of, art is a skill set. There's a learning curve, but if people are in cognitive decline, how can we get them to be able to them express themselves, express their feelings, um, in ways that people can see, in ways that they can share? And I think that AI is going to be a tremendous artificial intelligence, and these learning machines are going to be a tremendous tool for expression, and to empower people to, even if their brain functionality is declining, they can still um, have the ability to express themselves. And so, uh, with our men's group, we're going to be, we got these tablets, and we're going to sign up everyone with an account, and then we're going to start creating art, and then we're going to do an art show for these guys. But and the goal of that is just, I'm inspired by the work that you're doing. Um, there's still gaps where people just need that introduction, like the introduction to agriculture, that little introduction to art. And even if they don't feel like they can get up off the couch most days, or um, with, if they got a tablet or on their phone, they can make art. If they can use programs like Chat GPT to express themselves, or to get their ideas across, and even communicate with their family members, and loved ones. So I think that's going to be huge. So that's like, where I see the potential, really beneficial outcome of these new technologies, to be able to, you know, it's really empowering. Even, talking to Mr. Bester, showing what we could create, and then I let him give me some input, and we created some art. He was really just impressed, and it's got his creativity flowing, and that's the whole thing. It's just to find engaging means, through food, through art, through music, and culturally relevant, you know. And our group is a Black men's group, but it is open to anyone. It's not just Black men, so it's primarily, we just want to have a space where, if you're getting older, you want to have a community that you can trust and be around. So that's important for us to do that. But sorry if I got a little off track. So
No,
yeah,
that's
that's what
okay. So I kind of want to wrap up with something that you brought up when it comes to both, and it is the accessibility of art and using AI. I know one of the things you told me when you printed on magnets was the idea that then anybody could purchase it and put it on their fridge, that it wasn't
yeah.
a price point that made it so difficult for folks. And I hear that same theme with what you're doing with the men that may have some signs of dementia, et cetera. This idea of something that's accessible. And even so let's say they create it and it becomes a magnet that goes on their fridge. They can constantly say, I created that. That was something I did,
And even if it's telling a story, like it's amazing the ability, for you to put in a prompt. Say for instance, I want to see a Black family camping at night by the Wisconsin River, right? And that's just a simple prompt. That would be my prompt. And then you produce that image and in an oil painting, right? And maybe you've never seen an oil painting of a Black family camping at night by the Wisconsin River. I don't know how many there are. I haven't actually looked that up on the internet, but there's a lot of scenes that play out in our daily lives that we don't see reflected in art.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for people to be able to express that or something that they're going through or a certain, inner turmoil, if they can get that out, that's a way to heal, and that's a way to create new connections in your brain. And again, to be able to, our ultimate goal is to have a little art show for these guys, and so that they can sell their stickers and magnets, get people's, whatever their medium is. It doesn't, and there's some guys that are skilled artists, so they don't, they might not be into the whole AI art thing, but getting this accessible, where does art live at the end of the day? Like, I can guarantee you that not every zip code in Madison goes to the art fair on the square.
Right.
I can guarantee you that you can't guarantee that a piece of art from there ends up in every zip code in Madison.
Right.
But I guarantee you that there's some zip codes that have a lot more of their share, like the Maple Bluff, the Shorewood Hills sort of areas. And then, everybody deserves beauty. Everyone, we're all human beings. I find graffiti to be beautiful. And I still love all the little graffiti too, like the little quirky, not necessarily a picture, but maybe someone's weird little name, tag or something. Um, some of the lewd and lascivious stuff is funny to me just because I was a child once and I know, the history of that stuff. But, where does that stuff live? It tends to be in some of the lower income areas that they will leak, that doesn't, gets, but again, all art is deserving and all expression. Um, I think like the younger generation gets it too, that art is art and art is for everyone. And again, if we can make it accessible, the food, the nutrition, these are just little stumbling blocks in our way towards success and to sovereignty. If you can, like, you don't have to publish this, but the art that I've made, I won an art contest. So I won like $1,000 for that. And I'm very open. My art Instagram is called Boomtown AI. And I tag AI. I'm proud of it. I got a little AI community of friends. And older black folks love it because we're able to go through our lifetime of memories and see art, see all these instances in our life, like, put into vivid pictures and play with that and to be able to kind of reflect on that. Again, it's a paradigm shift, and it's also it's gonna create, like, artists are always going to be creative. I don't think that AI, when photography came out, people were worried about that. Like artists were like, oh, we're not going to be able to do portraits anymore. What photography did was make portraiture accessible to poor people so that you didn't just have paintings of aristocrats. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's all that was being captured. And it still boosted portraiture up to another higher level echelon where, they still paint the president. You know what I mean? So that, where does art live at the end of the day? I want to see it live everywhere, and I want to see it comfortably, my art anyway, on your fridge. I'm just trying to get on, I want some food eventually, when I have some value added product to sell, I'll have some food in your fridge and on your shelf and some art on your fridge.
Well, what a great place to stop. That was lovely. And I really enjoyed talking to you. I think, as you and I both know, art is healing, whether you're cooking, gardening, or creating art. So thank you.
Very welcome. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us today. It is an honor to talk with these amazing creators. You can see and read the artist's work in the Shallot, our journal of mental health, art, and literature, or on our website, thelayeredonion.com. Thank you.